Good afternoon. Koell Collins with Stable Strategies, and this is Stable Talk. And today I'm excited. I have a guest. His name is Tom Phillips, and I met him at Zoholics in Austin, Texas, which was a really neat event and my first time attending. And so they have a really fantastic initiative outside of Austin, which I had the crazy opportunity to go out and visit just impromptu after the conference, which was fantastic. And so they really the initiative there ties well with our kind of corporate culture here at Stable Strategies, and I'm excited to invite Tom on to talk about both Zoho, the platform and the company that kind of birthed Nava Farms, and then that initiative itself. So, Tom, if you'll go ahead and introduce yourself, we're excited to have you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to join. It was great meeting you down here in Austin, and yeah, glad to be a part of this as well. So, I'm Tom. I work for Zoho for a little over 6 years now here in Austin, and handle just all kinds of different operations for the company. So, really joined as just kind of a jack of all trades. Most of our employees are technical, and we want them talking to customers, helping them in some way, shape, or form. So for the non-technical folks like myself, we kind of let them be a catch-all for all the other parts of running the business. So that's invoices, advertising. I used to help with hiring quite a bit. Red tape, applications, all the boring stuff that nobody wants to do. And one project that came to me along the way was this farm that we wanted to start about 15, 20 minutes east of town. And that has really turned into something pretty special, which, we'll get into more, of course. But that was about 4 years ago. In spring of 2020, we started, we just called it the farm back then.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's evolved quite a bit since then. And that's, one of the main things I work on now.
Nice. So before you came to Zoho, kind of what led you to this place in your career?
Yeah. So I have a pretty non-traditional route. Previously, I was a school teacher in New York City, so completely different field, city, all that. When I moved to Austin and was looking to transition to the private sector, I was immediately struck with how Zoho cared about that I was a teacher, and I think that is true to our personality in general. That we really take the blinders off when it comes to hiring, and you know look at folks with all different types of skill sets and backgrounds, and think about what value can they bring. So obviously, a lot of our roles are technical, so folks need to be technical, but for, marketing and PR and communications and, all the other things, all the other teams that we have, we much like myself, we have a lot of folks that come from pretty diverse backgrounds. So yeah, for me, it was teaching, which I loved. I did that 7 years in all. And then, didn't really know where, what this was going to entail. But like I said, it's been 6 years. It felt like I started yesterday. Feels like, we're just getting started. And I think that's a good sign.
That's amazing. And so you're very approachable. So the background makes sense. I walked up to the booth at Zoholics that for Nava Farms and was just intrigued because anything that has plants and agriculture is a passion of mine. And
It
so
was
it was
also, yeah,
it was
just
a
a little bit out of place. What is a farm booth doing at this tech conference? So it was
yeah,
a little bit of an outlier to start with.
without a doubt. But what I found really interesting there was and probably why I'm more passionate, which it's interesting once you go, you see that you're not the only one that's excited about the platform because I'm new to the Zoho,
Hmm.
frame. And it was really neat because every level that I talked to was just engaged and excited and wanting to help and wanting to dive deeper. And so it's really remarkable. It's a great culture to attach myself to as a founder, to have that be the support structure for a lot of our IT integration is really important.
Yeah, and that's very much in keeping with the personality of the company. I mean, we're humble. We just want to bring value. So for us, our user conference is about exactly that, bringing our customers value. We're not interested in celebrity keynotes or concerts or this and that, and all that stuff can be fun. You find that at some other conferences, but that's just not us. I mean, that's not our personality. We're not showy or flashy. We just want to sit down. I mean, the most popular part of that conference is the one-on-ones, where you just get to
Hmm.
sit one-on-one with somebody from the product team that helped build that product that can, you can sit down with your list of problems and just kind of knock them out and crank
Yeah.
through them. So I think that's a lot of the value that people find in that conference, but that is very much like our philosophy in general, is that like we're not about the bells and whistles, we're about substance. And
Hmm.
our obviously our software is meant to help people run their business, and so we want to do that, as effectively as possible.
Yes. Okay, so now diving into the agriculture, like the fun
Yes.
stuff. So so I have a little bit of background because I got to, talk to you some more at the conference and also got to hear your CEO speak and speak to him one on one. Again, amazing experience.
Mhm.
But how about you tell our audience about how this happened? Why this creature was created?
Yeah, I mean, in our company, it's actually not an anomaly. We have various farms throughout the world. I think it all kind of boils down to the context of like our founders come from rural India. And so for them, farming is just a way of life. So, they have family farms. So why wouldn't there be a company farm? Our biggest office in Chennai, which is in southern India, has a farm that all the, breakfast and lunch and dinner that they serve to our employees comes from there. So again, this is not an anomaly. I do think it's a little bit unusual for an American company to have a farm, but yeah, we acquired some land just east of Austin about 7 years ago.
Hmm.
So just didn't do anything with it for a while, and then had a couple ideas of some things that we might want to use it for, and then really all the wheels were in motion before the pandemic hit, but it was just uh, the timing of it that we had kind of started things that spring, and then obviously in March of 2020, when COVID hit, it was just an opportunity to everything else kind of slowed down, especially with my role. And so we just really dove headfirst into, and again, that was just us. We brought on a few people that knew more than me, certainly, but we were just kind of just throwing seeds into the ground and making tons of mistakes and figuring it out. But the land itself was previously like a cattle ranch, so
Uh-huh.
like it was just grazed pasture, so the soil was amazing. And that first spring, again, we ended up pulling a lot of food out of the ground, which was a little bit of a surprise. And then, after, I think we all kind of just caught the bug from there. So we started with just one really humble plot, kind of while we were simultaneously just cleaning up all the just junk from,
Hmm.
years and years of the ranch operating. And yeah, I mean, it's evolved quite a bit since then, but now we're up to, we have like 8 garden plots that probably comprise like 2 or 3 acres of a garden. We've got about 3,000 fruit trees and a couple different orchard sections. We have 3 buildings that, existing structures that we renovated into kind of, it was our workspace actually for a long stretch of the pandemic.
Hmm.
And now they're just kind of structures on the farm. And then, yeah, and then all the other initiatives that we've kind of just added as the years have gone by. So, but it started very, very humbly, very much like let's see where this goes. Let's see if we even are interested in it, if we want to do it. And then I think immediately we had a bunch of employees who are pretty invested and engaged. And then we took that, and then now, of course, we have full-time people that just work out at the farm.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, it started spring of 2020. Very humble beginnings, a lot of mistakes. Yeah, a lot of just not knowing what we were getting into, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, as someone who's grown up in ag, even when you know what you're getting into, every day's different. So the challenges never are never consistent necessarily. There's always
Yeah, and I
something new
mean,
around
yeah,
the
I mean,
corner.
obviously down here we get it gets hot, it's hot summers and there's fire ants and we've had the wild hogs come on and you name it. It's always something out there, but it's also just it's so rewarding. And again, we can kind of touch on some of the parallels between the farm and our software business, but like it's
Hmm.
just building it yourself, doing it in house with your own people, with like the team that we've created. We've worked with the same irrigation guy the whole time, the same plant
Hmm.
guy the whole time.
Hmm.
One of our farmers has been with us the whole time, and so just doing it with that core group, doing it all in house has been incredibly rewarding.
So I lucked out when I hit the booth. I met, and I may get the names wrong because I'm doing it from memory. Pepe, is that
Yeah,
right?
Pepe, yes. Yeah.
Okay, and he's hilarious. I have a picture with him, so I'll share that in prep for launching this particular podcast and then after again. So he was very welcoming, and I love the goats. And
Yes.
he is super passionate
Yeah.
about the farm, which is awesome. And then the gentleman who had done landscaping for the CEO for, is that Brandon? Am I
Yes.
remembering that
Brandon
right?
Brandon Kent. Yeah. He's our
Yeah.
plant guy. Plant guy
I I
extraordinaire.
I adore him. Like he has so much personality. Like both of them.
Yeah,
Um,
he's
I,
positivity in a can, which honestly is necessary, and Pepe too. Like his enthusiasm is just infectious, and again that having that in place in the team is so important because that I mean, I can't even. I'm out there consistently, but I'm not out there like day in, day out like those guys. And this work is
yeah.
not for the faint of heart. Like it
No.
is hard. Those guys work so hard, and gals that work out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, all of that is a prerequisite because if you don't have that, it can go negative real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. It was their authenticity, I think, because even before I got to hear the CEO speak, or even to be honest, I'm so busy building the core of the business that I was excited to go, but I had only checked out like an overview of the classes that were going to be, the sessions that were going to be available. So I didn't realize that I'd be, getting to have two sessions with the CEO and, and founder later on in the conference. But the authenticity that everyone had,
Yeah,
especially at the booth, for someone who has a love of agriculture and a love of doing things well, both for our environment and in business, and just being good stewards of the resources that we have and of our clients' intentions and efforts. It was it was infectious. It was really great to meet those folks, and um, uh, they brought a goat, which is always fun because I have
yes.
goats next door because I have a little
Always
bit
a
of
big
acreage
hit.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our Go
yeah.
program is a lot. It's new. That's one of our newer initiatives, and it's been a lot of fun. So I think we're up to 22 goats now, a couple of
Mm-hmm.
new babies this spring, and Pepe is the goat guy. He knows everything there is to know about goats. So that's been a lot of fun. And then it's also fun to think about how we can use them,
Mm-hmm.
in other projects and things that we've got planned for out there.
Yeah, well, and they're fantastic for range management too, because they do
Absolutely.
great work with brush.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they're lawnmowers.
right? They're
Yeah.
fantastic. So as you've done this, I mean, obviously COVID was its own set of challenges, but what do you think has been probably the most surprising to you, not coming from agriculture, and then taking on this adventure?
I mean, everything's been a surprise to me. I've obviously tried to educate myself along the way, but I mean, I've really just tried to defer to people that know more than me. So I'm just kind of the person that keeps things organized and on schedule, and just imposes some of the planning.
Uh-huh.
But again, we have a great team, so they're empowered to try things. I mean, again, we reserve the right to run experiments, and the nature of an experiment is that sometimes it doesn't work. So we've had a lot of things that we've tried that haven't worked, that have worked. And again,
Hmm.
this is drawing a parallel to Zoho. I mean, this is how we build software products. We do it in house. We do it all, R&D in house. We run
Hmm.
something, it doesn't work. We iterate, and eventually get to something that does. So we've taken the same approach to the farm. So yeah, I mean, it's surprising when there's 350-pound wild hogs right up against the structure in the morning. We had a freeze here in Texas that was we get a couple every winter, but 2 years ago they called it the snowpocalypse, was
Hmm.
especially bad. We have a rancher that grazes cattle on the property. So we had a bunch of cows in the barn, inside the barn, taking shelter. That was surprising to be
Yeah.
sure. And then, yeah, I mean, it's never a dull moment out there. But again, I think if you have the mentality that like stuff like that is going to happen, and it's a marathon, not a sprint, roll with the punches. And again, I'll keep coming back to it, the right team. It's like we have the right team. We know each other. We trust each other. We've been in tough situations together. So we know that we're gonna get through it. And then ultimately that we all have the the property's best interest at heart. So we're very
Hmm.
much aligned. We just had kind of our like annual meeting to plan out this next year, and every year, we get aligned on what are the goals of this, what do we believe in, what do we not believe in, and it's important to kind of keep that stuff fresh in front of mind,
Hmm.
because that's what drives the whole project. So I mean, we can just I'll just we believe in being sustainable. So something that we're pretty proud of is this year finally we're irrigating every plant off of pond water. So no municipal water. That was a big project this time last summer, where we deepened and widened the ponds, installed the pump, all the logistics to get that going. But now obviously
Hmm.
the fruit trees and the garden beds are getting rainwater, which is the best for them. We're obviously not using the municipal water, so that was something that we've been talking about for years, and
Hmm.
we finally kind of got there. And again, we want to keep
Yeah.
taking it further. We want to capture more rainwater and do more things with it, but we're no longer using that resource of the municipal water to water the plants. So that's one example that we're pretty proud of. Another is we're going to take the whole property to solar. So we're going to get off the grid. We just have done the first building. So
Nice.
we partner. Zoho works with a company called Boson Motors. They make like a EV, like farm utility vehicle, but then they also install solar panels. So
Hmm.
we took one of the barns that we use, and as of like a couple weeks ago, very recently, have converted it over to solar power. So that's pretty exciting. So again, those are some of
Congratulations.
the examples, but it's like, like we believe in making the farm as sustainable as possible. Ultimately, the goal of the farm is we want to create a biodiverse ecosystem that
Hmm.
produces the best quality food possible. So the food is almost like an afterthought, because it's like we just want to create that ecosystem. So that's everything. That's animals, plant life, water, air, everything. So
Yeah.
to create it as biodiverse as possible, and then from that environment, some really amazing food is going to grow. And we're
Yeah.
blessed here in Central Texas. We can grow a lot. It's a good. Obviously, it's hot in the summers, and it'll get a little chilly in the winter. But we can pretty much go 9-10 months out of the year. We're just getting our greenhouse off the ground, which is going to be amazing. So yeah, I mean, we want to produce the food. Initially, it was just kind of to share with our employees,
Hmm.
but now I think the vision is a little bigger. It's we want to share it with the community, and then there's like just a huge just education piece that like we haven't even scratched the surface of like all the different partnerships and initiatives we can do with that. So again, like 4 years in, we're proud of the progress we've made, but it really just feels like we're just getting started.
Hmm.
And
So
that was
I
kind
was
of
really,
so yeah. So
go
just
ahead.
one other thing I'll say is that was the Nava. So like we decided, all right, like this has legs, like this is real now. So let's make it a separate entity and like give it its own name and all. I mean, for forever it was just the farm, and
Uh-huh.
so now we kind of launched the Nava brand, which we're excited about, and yeah, we'll see where it goes.
So I was excited when I was talking to Pepe that he was talking about he'd been out in the community and talking to them about, some of the areas are food desert or feel like a food desert, and getting fresh fruits and vegetables,
Mhm.
especially from a local source, is harder and limited. Um, and so you guys have done some significant investment. The buildings look great. You're clearly so in agriculture, especially when a property's been ran for the same kind of operation for a long time, it's easy for things to collect, right? Like old fence panels and just things tend to add up, especially when it's your own place. I'm blessed because my mother's very detail oriented, so there's not much of that happens on our family place without it having purpose.
Nice.
But we see that happen a lot, and you guys have clearly done a ton of work to like improve the property. But you've also recently built a palapa, which is really amazing. As you start to look to the community to bring education and bring a food source, um, are those entities that you guys are building, or are those going to be things that you share with the community, or that they can use, for specific events that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one piece of this is, we want this project to be long term. So in order for it to be long term, it needs to fund itself. So we definitely this year have the goal of establishing some revenue streams in pursuit of just having it fund itself.
Hmm.
So absolutely, so we started selling to some local food trucks and restaurants, selling produce and fruit. We definitely want to host events. And again, all of this is to just so that we get to continue it. We want to continue the project and keep it going because again, we haven't even figured out. I mean, we have an idea, of course, but just all the different ways we can get people out there and just have them
Hmm.
experience how awesome it is, learn a thing or two, and get people to realize that food doesn't come from the grocery store. It's grown somewhere and it gets there somehow. So that's a huge piece of this is getting folks to realize that, getting them to be a little bit more curious about where their food comes from, who grows it, how it's grown. Um, I think these are just good questions to ask and good things to know about.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me. So I'm in central Kansas, south central Kansas, and while the metro area I live in is nearly 1 million people, um, I live in the largest square mile county in the state. And it's interesting in what most of the country considers flyover and extremely rural, the separation between those that live in the city and how far they are removed from the growing of food because the average American today is 3 to 4 generations away from any any farm presence, right? So we've grown as a society to the point where many people don't remember much other than maybe mom had a garden, but that
Hmm.
definitely large scale production or
Hmm.
self-sufficient production. The last time we saw that on a national scale was probably World War II with victory gardens.
Hmm.
And at that point, we were still, 1 generation away, 1 generation removed from food production for the family. So
Yeah, and it's a
we,
shame. I mean, it's a shame. It's like, it's like you can put one, 2 foot by 4 foot raised bed in your front or backyard and grow so much food, and
Mhm.
it's just, it, I think again, there's that barrier to entry for a lot of folks, but
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be that way. And yeah, I mean, and again, for us, it's what started as growing some fruits and vegetables for our employees. Again, we saw the investment was there right away, and then it was
Mhm.
like people are coming out to to plant and to bring their loved ones and bring their dogs, and it's become a whole thing. So
Yeah. Well, and so I'm just excited to see more people um, continue that invitation to know about where food comes from, to experience it, to enjoy it, but also to appreciate the effort that goes into it, but the bounty that you can receive, from that effort. So I have loads of tomato plants out here, and my uh, beans are growing, like all the things, right? Because
yeah.
again, I live in a rural area, but it's a passion. Um, so as you look at the next, 2 to 3 years, what does the community? So when you drive east out of Austin, that you can see the Palapa if you're headed towards Houston. So if you happen to be in Texas and listening to this, keep your eye out, and it's on the
Yes.
south side of the road. But what would you say to communities that want to support initiatives like yours or small farmers? What what matters? What have you seen make a difference as you started this venture?
I would just say again, kind of like I referenced earlier, is just be curious. Find out. Here in Texas, we have HEB. That's like the big
Hmm.
grocer chain here, and they're awesome. Like uh, most of their stuff comes from Texas, and they do a good job of like kind of making that transparent where stuff comes from.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would tell people to visit, a farmer's market or visit a farm, or chances are like it's under your nose. Whether you realize it or not, there's a farm somewhere near you, and they'd probably love for you to come and visit them. Obviously, buy some produce or whatever they have to offer, but it's right there. Kind of like you were saying, it's a shame that kind of as a country we've gotten away from even thinking about it, let alone doing it. So yeah, I mean, for us, like we want everyone in Austin to come and see us, and we're getting our ducks in a row so that we can make that a reality.
Hmm.
And to come, see how we do things, get involved if they want. We have tons of volunteer opportunities. Peppy is the master volunteer organizer. I think they planted 1,000 fruit trees in one day, a day
Wow.
this winter. And, we're going to do all kinds of stuff with the goats, and we have a beekeeping program. And obviously, in the spring, we're doing the planting with the greenhouse. We can start doing more stuff year round. Tons of like migratory birds that have like found their way into our property. So there's it's a birder's paradise as well. So yeah, I mean, you name it. I think that's the thing, is like there's going to be one thing that's sticky to someone. So it's like maybe you come out and you don't care about these 4 or 5 things, but this thing is really interesting, and like this is what I want to learn more about. And that's just what you just never know until you go, that it's like, oh wow, like I speak from experience. Like I come from Kansas myself. I was born and raised in a suburban Kansas City, and I had never grown food or honestly really thought about it that much. And
Hmm.
obviously, like, it's become a big part of my professional life. But I've caught the bug. Like, I'm sitting at home right now. I'm looking at my front garden. I've got food growing in my front garden. Just because
Hmm.
it's interesting to me now.
Right. So it's one thing that stands out to me. A shout out to Rick McNary. He's a gentleman here, lives about 15 or 20 miles from me. But during COVID, he started a Facebook group connecting farmers and ranchers directly to the public. And it
Hmm.
started very small, and now it's a really large organization in Kansas. I'll send you the link just so you can see some of the things they've been able to do. But that connection between food producer and food consumer, it really closed that gap and opened people up to having that kind of communication. And the Facebook community that was created has taken on a life of its own, but is extremely active still today, and has made a huge difference in some local ag producers being able to supply local, but also uh, reduce their reliance on national markets and some
Totally.
of the pre-built, established food chain that's out there. So that's a really neat effort that we've seen happen here locally, and I'll share that in the links for the podcast below for anyone that wants to check it out because it's been really successful.
Yeah, totally. And more things like that need to crop up, just because, yeah, they're getting squeezed by the middleman, and
Hmm.
it's not it's a shame that for many, farming is no longer like a sustainable lifestyle, which is
Hmm.
too bad. And it doesn't have to be that way either.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, so I have in Wichita, we also have Cargill. So they're a significant portion of their operations are based here, um, as well as a lot of family farms. And so there's a perception that only corporate farms are left, and there is this medium where a lot of farmers have less than 100, 500 acres or 250 acres, but they lease other people's acreage, to
Hmm.
make farming successful.
Hmm.
And then also, um, the ability for all of us to work together. The folks that I know that work at Cargill, they're the kind that grow stuff in their backyard. They
Right.
really do care, but we have so many people to feed that the system has to figure out how to do it and do it safely. And it's something that we take for granted. So how do all of those voices come together to do better and to be more aware, but also to meet that need that just continues to grow worldwide, not just here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're just trying to do our small part here in Texas,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So we've talked about Nava Farms, and we kind of know the direction that that's going to go. As you look at Zoho, one of the things that I was really impressed by, it's privately owned. It sounds like it's going to stay that way for a long time, which is amazing. Um, as you look at the environment ahead, what is most exciting to you about being a part of Zoho, the organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a consolidation in tech companies. I think there was like 20,000 CRM providers, which is absurd. Like, they don't need to be 20,000 options. And there's a lot of, loose VC money that's just kind of floated to some of these places and funded companies. But I think, like, the cream rises to the top. And so it's like, you have to bring value. So
Mhm.
you have to bring value to folks. And I think what for me, what's important about Zoho, or like what makes Zoho stand out, is that, yeah, we are fiercely independent. We've never taken any outside money. We never will. We're the first bootstrapped company to exceed 100 million users. And what that does is it just gives us autonomy. We answer
Hmm.
to ourselves, not to shareholders. So, and our shareholder is our customer. So we're going to do right by customers. And what that means is, protecting their information. We're not going to mine and sell customer information. We're not going to run advertisements within our products, and those are just no goes for us. I mean,
Hmm.
it'd be an easy money grab to do, but it's just never even been on the table. That's not how we do it,
Hmm.
and consequently, that's why folks have kind of stayed with us for a long time. So, I mean, our bread and butter is still SMBs, those small, medium
Hmm.
sized businesses that we can kind of grow with. Obviously, we want to go up market, and start signing some bigger customers. But and our technology stack has the capability to do that. I mean, we own and operate all of our own data centers, which is not true for most cloud companies.
Hmm.
Um, and so all that to say, like we're autonomous, like we do our own thing. And as I was talking about before, we're not flashy, we're not huge into advertising, or we'll do a little bit here and there, just for a little bit of brand awareness. But really, for us, it's just about bringing value to our customers. We have one of our kind of taglines, which I actually really like, is it's our life's work, or like, your life's work, brought to you by our life's work. And so that's how we feel. It's like,
Hmm.
we understand that, like, if you have your small business, that whether it's 5 people, 10 people, whatever, it doesn't matter, that's your livelihood, like, and you can run your whole business on our platform, and that's it. So we understand the stakes here. If you're running your whole business, that's how you're making a living, then we need to build some really great tools that allow you to do whatever you need to do.
When you say that Zoho is not flashy, and while I understand the persona of Zoho isn't flashy, speaking as someone who had a really interesting last few years, coming from a venture capital invested company, and before
Mhm.
that working for a family owned company, two different industries with correlating core values. The what it can do is flashy. I mean, the ability, I am not a developer, but I love the ability to develop. I love the
Mhm.
ability for things to work together and to link and to customize and to have it still work and personalize. And I'm a data nerd. I want to be able to see how this affects this, and what does this cause, and what's my ROI, and all of these things. And the tools are flashy, and not like flashy in a there's a lot of bells and whistles, trying to get my attention. When I need it to work, I it's very intuitive for me to find what I need to connect. It's very simple to connect multiple pieces of the platform. And when I call or I reach out to my, I think he's called a customer support, I don't know, he's an onboarding somebody. It's fantastic. Every person that I've interacted with, I've had answers quickly when I've made a suggestion. I mean, it's crazy fast how, I found one of the applications didn't link with my Zoho calendar, and it was a newer function that they'd offered. And I emailed and they were like, "Oh," and in less than a day, like before I got up the next day, they were like, "Oh, test it, now it works."
Mhm.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, that's been a big push for us to just get closer to our customer, to understand our customer better, and then really to educate them, because that's something we run up against, is people don't understand the crazy breadth and depth and the ways you can deploy these tools. It's
Hmm.
nuts. I don't fully understand it. And our typical customer doesn't either. They have like their niche thing. It's kind of like set and forget, whatever, but like,
Hmm.
man, there's a lot of value being left on the table there. So I would encourage folks to, you know, hit up that customer service person or whoever is assigned to you or whatever, and really
Hmm.
like, or, attend our conference, or go to a community meetup, or really see what these tools can do, because there's some crazy like workflows you can set up, automations, and we're kind of reimagining it now, where it's like, less of thinking of it as like, oh, like I go to this product for this and this product for this or this product for this. It's like, no, it's just all one big engine. And like you can
Mhm.
configure it however you need it to, or like really curate it to like exactly what your business needs. So yeah, it's, I mean, they're pretty amazing.
Yeah, I was really surprised. So I had to help to develop an interface for an ERP, and the goal always in business is single source of truth, right? We were always trying to go one place. And so after spending literally months partnering with IT and outside vendors and Zapier and tons of APIs and trying to pull all these data points, it was remarkable. And I think I have an advantage because I'm so new to Zoho and I just went through that painful process for 3.5 years trying to make this single source of truth to jump into a platform and start with Zoho One, which has a ton of tools, and then like initially go, okay, I want to link everything I can well. And that's my mindset going in. So that way I have as little exterior as possible to save me time and efficiency later and training
Mhm.
and all of those things. So starting with that mindset and then seeing that that was capable and was being, developed as a part of the idea. And I think getting stronger every day was I'm nerdily excited about it. Like I'm telling people and I don't even have it all played out all the way yet, but just like every day I take a step in being more aggressive about it. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, that's a huge piece of our mission is, it's the democratization of these tools. It's like you shouldn't have to be a Fortune 500 company to have access to these tools, and now you don't. It's like you can be a one person company and have access to these crazy tools that, like, if you take the time to learn them and set them up and deploy them how you need them to be, it's crazy the efficiencies you can create.
So as you apply that mindset to the product, the thing that stood out to me is clearly you guys have a really healthy culture as a company. And I say that not because I mean, we've all interacted with companies that try and have a good culture, or there's a
Right.
subsection that has a good culture. But from talking to techs at the evening, at the close of the day after they've been in one-on-one for all day long, and they're still
Mhm.
hanging out and having a bite to eat from and just chit-chatting with us. Everyone I talk to, because I flat asked some of the guys that were saying, I was like, okay, why do you like working at Zoho? I just wanted
Mhm.
to know because as a founder that kind of excitement to work somewhere is something that if you could bottle that and keep it and keep that alive in your business, the chance of success, the trajectory of having employees that excited
Mhm.
is amazing. And they all had a different answer. One of them was flexibility. One of them was being, ahead of the tools, technology. They felt like it just kept coming. Another one was, you know, really solving problems. And that was three gentlemen, all who had been participating in the one-on-ones. All of them had a different answer.
Mhm.
And it was extraordinarily genuine. So what do you think? What do you see as an employee that's really key to that culture?
Yeah, culture is tricky because I think a lot of companies will try to like impose a culture, and that's just not how it works. It has to be organic. You just have to do it. So for me, the biggest thing is that I think we do a great job um, gravitating people towards a project or a role that matches their skill set and their interests. So I've seen over and over again where somebody started here, then they've kind of dipped their toe in here, worked with this team, and then all of a sudden that's their new role. Or they've, started this initiative that was important to them, and then that turns into a team, and they're the manager of that team. It's happened again and again and again where we want people working on things that they think they're good at or they are good at, and that are important to them, that they like doing.
Mhm.
So that's certainly been the case in my role. And then I think that, the proof is in the pudding. It's like at 6 years with the company, I'm junior. We have a ton of people over 10 years, over 15 years. My manager has been with us for 25 years, which for a tech company is crazy, right? And I
Yeah.
think that what you get with those tenures is that's just when you get the backbone of trust. Like I've been working with the same people for 6 years, so we trust each other. We know each other. We know what each other's strengths and weaknesses are, and that's where you get like the real culture. Once you have people working on things that they're good at, that they like doing, and that they've been you've all been in it together for a long time, and that's where it's like we're all in this together. It's a shared project, this company, and that's maybe a cheesy thing to say, but like it's very palpable. Like it's just everybody has their piece in it, but it is a big group project that we all work on together, that we've all been working on for years. This is how we approach the farm as well. But yeah, it's just a big group project, and everybody does their part. And I think, again, maybe that's a little bit vague, but you know, we would be allergic to like putting something out with like bullet points of like, these are our company values, or like, this is our culture. Like, that's not how it works. Like, you do it, you know, and like you work with people, and you build up a rapport with them, and you build trust with them, and you then can leverage that trust and that relationship to get stuff done.
So you mentioned earlier in our conversation that you have dabbled in hiring and that process.
Hmm.
What did you look for as you added teammates to this, to this thing that you already enjoy and love?
Yeah, so I was hiring for technical roles, which is a little ironic because I'm not. I mean, I'm fine. I'm like middle of the road aptitude, but so I just told people, again, like this probably sounds a little bit corny, but the only prerequisite for to be successful is enthusiasm. It's like we have people that have come to us with a ton of technical experience, and people that have come to us with zero technical experience. But if you have the enthusiasm, and that's where it gets down to, like, are you really technical? Because like for me, it's like I don't have like a server in my garage. I'm not like, taking apart a video game, and like I'm not a technical person, but there are a lot of people out there like that. So I would just be like, just kind of fishing around for like, so like, what do you like to do? Like, what have you been playing around with? Like, what softwares have you been fooling around with? Like, what do you do in your free time? What do you like to read? What do you do when you're not working? And then from that, it's like you can kind of get a sense of like, wow, like this person, like even though like they might have worked somewhere completely different or whatever, they are really enthusiastic about technology. So that I'm really confident when they get their foot in the door, they're just going to be a sponge. And like
Hmm.
again, as you were kind of alluding to earlier, the tools are intuitive. It's not it obviously once you start getting into the real nitty gritty, like you do need to be technical. But
Yes.
like if you have an enthusiasm and you're down to like watch a bunch of YouTube videos and like just consume all of our content and talk to our product teams and like just dive in, you'll be successful.
Hmm.
The trick is that like enthusiasm is a hard thing to find, so I think that for me, that was my biggest like lens is like, is this person enthusiastic? And then if so, I'm confident they'll find their way within our company. But if it's
Hmm.
more of a like, no, I'm just like looking for X job, whatever, then maybe not the best fit.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense to me. I'm a lot just naturally. I have a lot of passion for pretty much everything I do. And
Hmm.
so it makes sense that that is a characteristic that fits well there because they all seem to have it.
And
Um,
again, it's so simple and it is so cliche. Like I hear how cliche it sounds, but it's true. It's like if you're enthusiastic about technology, then there's a role for you with us.
mhm. Uh, I can't say enough about the team and my experience so far. I will say if you're a founder and you're looking at Zoho, set limits like I set screen time limits because I still don't have all the tools like all the way plugged in of what they're capable of, and I had to get to a point where I was like, okay, you're ready to launch. You need to, as you grow, continue this step because it was so much fun to dive in and see what
Yeah.
could connect
And I
that
see that
that I
all
was
the
doing a
time.
lot of that.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. All the time with implementations, they have all these things they want to do, and it's almost like, all right, like less is more. Like let's get you like you want to switch over the CRM. All right, let's do that first, and then like let it breathe for a minute. Then we'll do this one. Then we'll do this one. And it's like it's good that folks are so excited, but it's like especially if there's a lot of history on like your previous ERP or whatever, it's like it's a lot to get it over. But again, the beauty of our system is that it's all integrated. So
Hmm.
once you have something in the CRM, it's going to immediately go over to books, and there's your accounting done. It's immediately going to go over like link with the email, and like it's a one-stop shop. So again, that is a lot of the value in our platform, is that it is a true platform. It's not just products masquerading as a platform. It's a platform. It's a
Hmm.
suite.
Yeah, it's overwhelming but exciting. So merch and marketing is what I've cut my teeth on, print, promo, all of that kind of stuff. But really, I didn't realize for 20 years I was an operations girl that solved problems and therefore I happen to sell. I am not a salesperson by any
Yeah.
stretch of the imagination, but I love tools and making things work right and
Mhm.
pushed from a tech side back in the day for those kind of things. And that was what was so exciting on the front end, and because I didn't have any history. Like, I'm a founder, I'm starting, I want to build something big and amazing. I know what the holes are and I have wonderful relationships. How do I leverage this tool to start off well? And so that was really exciting. Again, could be overwhelming, and I had to like set limits for myself.
Yeah,
But
it's a lot.
that cadence has made staying on top of all of the things that you have to do as a founder um, definitely easier to do, because I'm not, like, the tools remind me and I have the things set up correctly, that I'm able to keep an eye on multiple things. And my accounting software books is linked with my CRM and all of the names match and it links
Right.
with my email. And it's phenomenal. So
Yeah, I
thank
mean,
you.
there's a reason why SMBs love us, because it's like it's a one-stop shop. You
Yeah.
don't there's no multiple logins, multiple subscriptions, this integrating with no, it's all there.
Yeah. My former role was at a $50 million entity. And I will say the amount of time we spent working on developing that single source of truth, and the dollars invested in competitors' tools. You know, I don't even have to name the big ones. If you've used a CRM, you know who I'm talking about. Some of those tools, the amount of effort I put into building that from scratch, had that been put in to partnership with the internal development team I had and the tools of Zoho, that entire struggle would have been so much less.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just you see it time and time again. I'm not going to name names, but it's like a huge acquisition will happen. It's like X company buys X company, and it's like, oh, like on the surface, it's like, oh, this is going to be amazing, and all of a sudden, I can use like X within X, but it's just like that's not how it goes. Like you have
Mm-mm.
to you have to merge employees, you have to merge cultures, like you have to do this, and I've just seen it time and time and time again. It just doesn't work. So I mean, again, I'm sure there's exceptions, but again, that's why for us, it's like everything's in house. All the R&D is developed in house. We don't acquire companies. Like that's just not how we do it. We might be slow. It might be slower than some people want, but it's authentic and it's within our tech ecosystem. That is
Mm-hmm.
where everything is born, and that's why everything works.
Yeah. It's interesting that internally, the desire to meet customers' needs immediately, your perception is that occasionally it's slow, whereas looking at it from the capability perspective as a new user, it seems remarkably fast and intuitive to me. And
Yeah, the tools themselves are fast. I'm just saying, like the way we innovate and like release a newer version or like launch a new product, again, it might be a little bit slower just because we're not just going to go out and buy some company and then try and like slap
mhm,
it into our suite. We're going to do it in house.
mhm. Well, it seems to be working really well. So I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, we think
Um,
so too.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Tom. I'll be sending you a fun gift. I also want to say thank you to the whole team that put on Zoholics. You guys really do a quality event. It matches the product and the experience I've had for both. So that's really neat. I will be back in Texas, and I'm sure when I come down, I'd like to maybe touch base again and
Yes.
maybe do something live at the farm.
Well, you have
Um,
to come back to the farm. Yeah, there's always something new to see at the farm. So you got to see what's changed since the last time you were here. And yeah, I mean, thank you again for having me. This has been great. And I would encourage anybody that's here in Central Texas to come check us out. And if not, if you find yourself in the Austin area, come pay us a visit. We love hosting people. As you know, your experience with Peppy and Brandon was not unique. They love talk. I mean, they love meeting people and showing off essentially what we've been able to build and what we're going to continue to build. So yeah, please come pay us a visit. I think We have an Instagram handle for the farm that's Nava Farms TX. So it's very nascent stages. So we're kind of getting that off the ground. And then there's going to be a website as well called Nava.farm. We'll have that live in the next few weeks. And yeah, again, this is all, it's all new, and it feels like we're just getting started. But there's a lot. There's big ambition and a lot planned. So we're excited to see what it turns into.
Well, that's amazing, and I appreciate um, just how welcoming everyone was, and seeing the place between the hives, which I'll also share a picture of that, and the really cool palapa and the trees. Just everything that you guys have done so far is great, and I have no doubt that it's going to be an amazing facility when you're all done. So if anyone's looking to have a really neat wedding or company event, the palapa is
Yeah.
amazing. So I would absolutely check that out. And those kind of events are phenomenal for culture. So take
Yeah.
them to a place where energy and excitement is literally catching because their team has it in
Yeah, totally.
spades.
And I don't know if we'll ever be done though. This is it's just a constant evolution. So we'll just take it one year at a time and yeah, see what happens.
Well, that's a great place to be. Thank you so much for your time, Tom.
Yeah, I've
Um,
really enjoyed it.
and we'll keep in touch.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.